I think Australia didn't expect England to come out and play like they did. I thought they, on paper, Australia looked as though they were favourites, but full credit to England, they've turned it around. And I think the catch that Brad Haddin dropped in the first innings off Joe Root probably cost Australia dearly. It cost them 134 runs, and I think that's where the momentum of the first test changed. So I think it just comes down to a fielding blooper, and look, you can't really blame Braden for that. Everyone drops catches, but that was a costly catch for the test match. There's always time to look for replacements and look forward, but these two have been war horses for Australian cricket over the last decade, so they've done extremely well, and they're the best players at the present moment in our first test, and they were selected accordingly, and Shane Watson was selected for both bat and ball, and I think if they're not going to bowl Shane Watson as much as they did in the first, or if they're not going to bowl Shane Watson more than what they did in the first test, 13 overs, I think he only bowled in the 2 innings, I think it's time to move on and pick the younger, more athletic Mitchell Marsh, because we have got a long list of older players in our test team, and to be able to bring someone like a Mitchell Marsh in right now when he's doing the same job as Shane Watson, I think it's might be time to change it. Peter Neville's in the wings for the keeping job, but I think you've got to stick with Brad Haddin. He's crucial behind the stumps, not just for his experience, but also for his leadership qualities. He helps Michael Clarke out in a few decisions there. So I don't think we need to panic just yet. If you move into the second test, you don't want to change it. You really don't want to change your first team. You went in there thinking that team was going to beat England. They didn't. They looked lethargic, actually. They didn't look as switched on as I thought they would be. And I think there's a lot of room for movement moving forward. A little bit more test cricket, but if you look at it, Australia over the last 46 innings, I think it is, they had scores of 5 for 150 or less, so 5 wickets down for less than 150 20 times. So now it's 21. They did the same in the second innings, so that's a big concern for Australia. I think they're really relying on Steve Smith too heavily. He's been their best bat. Michael Clarke's not fully fit. I think he's still tight in that upper back. So Australia got the headaches, and England have turned things around. I just think they're pretty poor over the last 6 or 12 months, but their series against New Zealand was a bit up and down, and they showed signs that they're still a reasonable team. But I think the trip that they took to Spain, just to get away from cricket and get to recoup and get to know each other again, and just have time together away from the game of cricket and get to learn each other about each other, I think that does wonders, because you get to learn about each other outside of cricket. And once you start building those friendships, it plays out in the game. And I just felt that England out in the middle were a lot closer than what I've seen before, especially during that New Zealand series. They looked as though they were playing for each other, and they were happy and right behind each other, and they looked a lot more energetic in the field as well. So full credit to Trevor Bayliss, but full credit to Alistair Cook and the leadership group for just turning things around with their personnel. Yeah, I think England bowled with plans. They were attacking, but when the Australia looked as though they were going to get away from them and looked as though their batting was on top, they changed their plans to a little bit more defensive bowling. And if you look, especially Steve Smith, they attacked him straight early on, and when Steve Smith looked settled, they went wider and made him chase. And I just think that was a perfect plan to Steve Smith. They've really thought about the way they want to bowl to the Australians, whereas Australia probably had those plans, but they didn't execute it. They were a bit wayward. They were bowling two sides of the wicket. And I thought when Bairstow, all right, you can cut and paste this game. I thought when Balance came out in the first innings, I just thought they were too short to him too early. They were trying to attack him with a barrage rather than just doing what New Zealand did, and that was just bowl full, try and get the ball to move away and feed those slips. And the other concern for me is Nathan Lyon. He bowls too much around the wicket. We've got two left-arm quicks that are providing that foot mark outside the off stump to the right-hander. So let's come over the wicket and try and create a little bit of indifference in bounce. So if it hits those foot marks, it creates a little bit of uncertainty for the batsman. And if we watched Moeen Ali yesterday, he utilised those foot marks. It was the downfall of Brad Haddin, who tried to take him on out of those foot marks. And then when he didn't land it in the foot marks, there was still a little bit of uneven bounce, but it just skidded on. And Shane Watson tried to play a couple of cuts where he missed. And that unevenness was created because he was pitching the ball outside off stump and making the Australians just a little bit concerned about those foot marks, the indifference of the bounce and turn.